Admiral Katie Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Constitution, watching the red planet Mars through the large windows. The Earth Defense Fleet had been patrolling the outer planets for 3 months now, looking for any signs of alien life. Katie never expected to actually find any. "Admiral, we have unknown contacts emerging from hyperspace near Mars," called out Lieutenant Commander Lisa Hayes from her station. "Multiple vessels, configurations unknown." Katie walked over to the tactical display. Strange ships appeared. On the screen, unlike anything humans had ever built. They looked like they were made of crystal and light, constantly shifting and changing shape. The ships moved with impossible grace, flowing through space like living things. "How many?" Katie asked. 15 vessels, Admiral. They're beautiful," Lisa said, with wonder in her voice. Captain Ryan Blake's voice came through the communication system from his destroyer, the USS Liberty. "Admiral, the alien ships are sending us a message. They want to talk." Katie felt her heart racing. This was it. First contact with an alien species. Everything humanity had dreamed about was finally happening. "Put it through to all ships, Captain Blake." The main screen flickered, and a strange creature appeared. It had blue skin that seemed to glow, with 4 arms and eyes that looked like stars. When it spoke, a translation device made its words clear in English. "I am War Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Confederation. We greet you, primitive beings of the 3rd planet." Katie stepped forward. "I am Admiral Katie Morrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. We welcome you to our solar system in peace." The alien creature made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace? How amusing. We have been watching your species for some time now. Your technology is quaint." Other alien voices could be heard in the background, also laughing. Katie felt her face getting hot with embarrassment, but she kept her voice calm. "We would be honored to learn from your advanced civilization. Perhaps we could arrange a cultural exchange." "Cultural exchange?" Veltar's star-like eyes seemed to sparkle with amusement. "What could a species that still uses metal ships and chemical rockets possibly offer us? Your vessels look like museum pieces from our ancient past." Captain Amy Rodriguez from the frigate USS Defender spoke up on the communication channel. "Admiral, they're scanning our ships. Their scanners are unlike anything I've seen before." On the Constitution's bridge, Lisa Hayes was monitoring the alien scans. "Admiral, they're not trying to hide what they're doing. It's like they don't consider us a threat at all." Veltar continued speaking, his voice growing more condescending. "Your weapons systems are particularly interesting. Primitive projectile launchers and explosive devices. How did your species ever survive long enough to reach space with such crude technology?" Katie felt anger building inside her, but she forced herself to remain diplomatic. "Every species develops at its own pace. We may not have your advanced technology, but we've managed to colonize several planets in our system." "Colonized?" Another alien voice laughed. "You mean those small outposts on your moon and the red planet? We have civilizations that span entire galaxies. Your entire species could fit in one of our smaller cities." Captain Ryan Blake tried to change the subject. "We have art, music, literature. Our culture has many beautiful aspects that might interest you." "Culture?" Veltar seemed genuinely puzzled. "What use is culture when your military technology is so laughably primitive? Your largest warship carries weapons that our children's toys could easily defeat." Sub-Commander Kreeth, another alien with silver skin, appeared on screen next to Veltar. "War Commander, I have completed my analysis of their military capabilities. Their kinetic weapons operate on principles we abandoned 10,000 years ago. Their armor is simple metal alloys that our basic cutting tools could slice through like soft fruit. The aliens continued their analysis as if humans weren't listening. Their energy output is minimal, Kreeth continued. Their fastest ships move slower than our cargo vessels. Their communication systems use radio waves, which is remarkably primitive. Katie clenched her fists. We may not have your technology, but we've survived wars, disasters, and challenges that would have destroyed weaker species. Survived? Veltar laughed again. You've barely left your home planet. Your entire fleet couldn't damage even one of our scout ships. Look at this. One of the alien vessels moved toward the USS Defender. Captain Rodriguez ordered evasive action, but the alien ship simply passed through the human vessel like it was made of air. The Defender's sensors went crazy, but no damage was done. Phase shift technology, Kreeth explained with the patience of a teacher talking to a slow student. Your primitive sensors can't even track us when we use it. Your weapons would pass harmlessly through our hulls. Katie watched in horror as more alien ships demonstrated their technology. They appeared and disappeared at will, moved faster than human ships could track, and seemed to treat the entire human fleet like an interesting but harmless curiosity. This is quite entertaining, Veltar said. We will catalog your species for our databases before moving on to more worthy civilizations. Perhaps future generations will find your primitive ways amusing. You can't just dismiss us, Katie said, her voice growing stronger. Humanity has potential. Given time, we could develop technology to match yours. Time? Veltar laughed the loudest yet. Your species will be extinct long before you develop anything approaching our capabilities. Your wars, your pollution, your inability to work together will destroy you within a few centuries. We've seen it happen to countless primitive species. The alien fleet began moving away from the human ships, still conducting their scans and taking readings. Katie realized with growing anger that they were being treated like laboratory animals, interesting but completely harmless. Admiral, Lisa, Hayes whispered. They're broadcasting this conversation to Earth. Everyone back home is hearing how they're mocking us. Katie looked at the retreating alien fleet. Their beautiful ships moved through space with casual arrogance, completely ignoring the human warships as if they were space debris. The insult was clear. Humanity was so primitive, so harmless, that the aliens didn't even consider them worth worrying about. All ships, return to defensive positions, Katie ordered. We need to contact Earth immediately. As the USS Constitution turned toward home, Katie stared at the alien fleet in the distance. Their mockery echoed in her mind. Primitive, crude, harmless. The words burned like acid, but they also planted something else in her thoughts. Sometimes, Katie realized, being underestimated could be an advantage. 3 days after first contact, War Commander Veltar decided to address all of humanity directly. Every television, radio, and internet connection on Earth suddenly displayed the alien's glowing blue face. People stopped what they were doing and stared at their screens in amazement and fear. People of Earth, Veltar began, his voice carrying the tone of an adult speaking to very young children. We bring you greetings from the civilized galaxy. We have studied your species and your technology, and we must share our findings. In homes, offices, and schools across the planet, humans watched as the alien leader continued his speech. Your reliance on crude projectile weapons shows that your species has barely evolved beyond your Stone Age ancestors. While civilized species harness the power of quantum fields and dimensional energy, you still use chemical explosions to propel metal objects through space. President Sarah Williams watched from the White House Situation Room alongside her military advisors. General Peter Stone, head of the United Earth Forces, sat with his jaw clenched as the alien continued his humiliating assessment. "Your space vessels are particularly amusing," Veltar went on. "Built from simple metal alloys, powered by chemical rockets that waste enormous amounts of energy. Our children build more sophisticated toys in their leisure time." Up on Guardian Station, Earth's largest orbital defense platform, Commander Jake Phillips watched alien probe ships moving dangerously close to human installations. The probes were small, graceful vessels that seemed to dance through space, completely, ignoring human attempts to communicate with them. "Guardian Station to Earth Defense Command," Jake spoke into his microphone. "The alien probes are conducting detailed scans of our orbital facilities. They're not responding to our hail attempts." Captain Amy Rodriguez, commanding the USS Defender, tried to intercept one of the probe ships. Her crew worked frantically to match the alien vessel's course and speed, but as they approached, the probe simply became transparent, and the Defender passed right through it. "This is impossible," Amy muttered, watching the alien probe reappear behind her ship and continue its scanning operations. "How are we supposed to defend against something we can't even touch?" Back on Earth, Veltar's broadcast continued. Sub-Commander. Kreeth appeared beside him, her silver skin gleaming under alien lighting. "I have completed a thorough analysis of human military capabilities," she announced in the same condescending tone. "Please, enlighten these primitives," Veltar said with obvious amusement. Kreeth began displaying holographic images of human weapons and ships. "Their largest kinetic weapons fire projectiles at barely 3% of light speed. Our basics, defensive shields can absorb such impacts without registering damage. Their explosive devices rely on nuclear fusion, an energy source we mastered 50,000 years ago and abandoned as inefficient." The images showed human warships next to alien vessels, the size difference making the human ships look like toys. "Their armor consists of simple metal plates," Kreeth continued. "Our basic cutting tools could slice through their strongest battleships in seconds." Dr. Elena Cross, Earth's leading physicist, watched the broadcast from her laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. As the aliens displayed their analysis, she noticed something interesting. Their technology seemed to rely entirely on energy, fields, and quantum manipulation. Everything they showed was elegant, advanced, and completely energy-based. Their communication systems use primitive radio waves, Kreeth was saying. They cannot achieve faster-than-light communication, which means their fleet coordination is impossibly slow by civilized standards. In his office at the Pentagon, General Peter Stone slammed his fist on his desk. Director Claire Adams of Advanced Defense Research sat across from him, both watching the humiliating broadcast. "They're not just analyzing us," Claire said quietly. "They're deliberately embarrassing us in front of our own people." The alien demonstration continued as several probe ships approached unmanned defense satellites orbiting Earth. With casual ease, the probes fired elegant beams of purple energy that simply shut down the satellites without destroying them. "As you can see," Veltar explained, "your defensive systems cannot even detect our weapons before they disable your equipment. This is not an attack, merely a demonstration of the vast difference between primitive and advanced technology." Captain Ben Carter, a veteran of the asteroid mining conflicts, watched from his converted mining ship. Unlike the military officers, Ben was thinking practically. The aliens kept talking about energy weapons and quantum fields, but they showed no interest in simple kinetic impacts. Everything they did was sophisticated and elegant. Maybe too sophisticated, Ben muttered to himself. Commander Grace Miller, head of Naval Intelligence, was taking careful notes as the aliens continued their analysis. They were revealing detailed information about their own technology while mocking human capabilities. Every insult contained valuable intelligence about alien methods and weaknesses. Your species has potential, Veltar continued, but you are at least 10,000 years away from developing technology that could challenge even our civilian vessels. Your wars, your inefficiencies, your inability to work together ensure that you will likely destroy yourselves long before reaching true civilization. The broadcast showed more demonstrations. Alien ships appeared and disappeared at will, moved through solid objects, and performed maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. Human attempts to track or intercept the vessels failed completely. We will continue our scientific study of your primitive society, Kreeth announced. Your resistance is neither expected nor feared. You lack the technology to threaten us in any meaningful way. Commander Jake Phillips tried again to intercept an alien probe that was scanning Guardian Station's weapon systems. This time he ordered his defensive systems to fire warning shots, but the kinetic projectiles passed harmlessly through the phase-shifted alien vessel. Guardian Station to all Earth defense ships, Jake reported. Conventional weapons are completely ineffective. The aliens can become intangible at will. Dr. Elena Cross was studying the energy readings from the alien demonstrations. Something about their phase-shifting technology caught her attention. It seemed to require constant energy input to maintain. More importantly, it appeared to operate on quantum field manipulation that might be vulnerable to specific types of interference. President Williams finally spoke to the world after the alien broadcast ended. Citizens of Earth, we have seen the technological superiority of our visitors. However, we must not let their dismissal of our capabilities discourage us. Humanity has always found ways to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. But privately, in the White House Situation Room, the mood was grim. General Stone reviewed the alien demonstrations with growing concern. They're right about our weapons, he admitted reluctantly. Kinetic projectiles can't hit targets that can become intangible. Energy weapons are useless against their shields. Our fastest ships can't catch their slowest vessels. Director Adams nodded. They've essentially proven that our entire military is obsolete. Admiral Katie Morrison, who had remained silent during the meeting, finally spoke. Maybe that's exactly what they want us to think. The room fell quiet as everyone looked at her. They're not just studying us, Katie continued. They're deliberately demoralizing us, making sure we know we can't fight them. The question is, why would they need to do that if we're really as harmless as they claim? Outside, alien probe ships continued their scanning operations around Earth's orbital installations, treating human space as their personal laboratory. But deep in research facilities around the world, human scientists and engineers were beginning to ask different questions. If the aliens were so superior, why did they feel the need to prove it so thoroughly? Dr. Elena Cross had not slept for 2 days. In her deep space laboratory orbiting beyond Pluto, she worked frantically to understand the alien technology that had humiliated humanity. Her team of scientists analyzed every piece of data they had collected from the Zephyrian demonstrations. The phase-shifting technology, Elena muttered to herself as she studied the energy readings on her computer screen. It has to have limits. Her assistant, Dr. Mark Collins, brought her another cup of coffee. The energy signatures are consistent, he reported. Every time they phase shift, there's a specific quantum field distortion. Elena's eyes widened as she saw the pattern. Mark, look at this. The quantum field manipulation requires constant energy input. But more importantly, it operates on a very specific frequency range. What does that mean? Mark asked. It means their phase shifting has a weakness, Elena said excitedly. If we could generate the right kind of electromagnetic interference, we might be able to disrupt their quantum fields and force them back into normal space. Meanwhile, on the converted mining vessel Lucky Strike, Captain Ben Carter was having his own revelations. Ben had spent 20 years mining asteroids, and he understood kinetic energy better than most military officers. The aliens keep talking about energy weapons and quantum fields, Ben told his crew. But they haven't said anything about defending against simple kinetic impacts when they're not phase-shifted. His chief engineer, Tom Bradley, nodded. Our mining rail guns can accelerate projectiles to 15% of light speed. That's 5 times faster than military weapons. Exactly, Ben said. And unlike energy weapons, kinetic projectiles don't rely on exotic physics. They're just mass moving very fast, hard to counter with fancy technology. At the Naval Intelligence Headquarters in Washington, Commander Grace Miller was discovering something equally important. She had been analyzing every word the aliens had spoken during their broadcasts, looking for useful information hidden in their arrogance. They've told us everything about their technology, Grace explained to her team. They rely completely on energy-based systems, quantum field manipulation, dimensional phase shifting, directed energy weapons. It's all very sophisticated. Lieutenant Kevin Jones, her intelligence analyst, looked puzzled. How is that helpful? We can't match their technology. That's exactly the point, Grace said with a smile. They've become completely dependent on advanced technology. They've forgotten how to defend against simple, crude attacks. In the Pentagon, Dr. Alex Turner was briefing General Stone about Project Thunderbolt, a classified weapons development program that had been running for 5 years. We've been working on electromagnetic pulse weapons designed to disrupt advanced electronics, Alex explained. The alien technology seems to be entirely electronic. No mechanical backup systems, no simple alternatives. General Stone studied the technical specifications. Can these EMP weapons affect alien technology? Possibly, Alex said. Their quantum field generators have to use some form of electronic control system. A strong enough electromagnetic pulse might disrupt those controls. Admiral Katie Morrison was meeting with President Williams and the Earth Defense Council. The mood in the room was tense as they discussed humanity's options. The aliens have made their position clear, President Williams said. They consider us completely harmless, no threat to their operations. Which might be our greatest advantage, Katie replied. They're not watching for military preparations because they don't think we're capable of threatening them. Director Claire Adams nodded. Our intelligence suggests they've become overconfident. Millennia of technological superiority have made them careless. Captain Ryan Blake joined the meeting via video link from the USS Liberty. Admiral, we've been analyzing their ship movements. They're not following any defensive patterns. They're acting like tourists, not a military force. Katie felt a plan beginning to form in her mind. What if we used that against them? What if we let them continue thinking we're harmless while we prepare something they won't expect? Dr. Elena Cross's voice came through the communication system from her distant laboratory. Admiral, I have important news about their phase-shifting technology. I believe we can disrupt it. The room fell silent as Elena explained her discoveries. The quantum field manipulation requires specific electromagnetic frequencies to maintain coherence. If we can generate interference on those frequencies, we can force their ships back into normal space. How do we generate that kind of interference? General Stone asked. That's where Project Thunderbolt comes in, Dr. Alex Turner said. Our EMP weapons can be modified to generate the exact frequencies Dr. Cross has identified. Captain Ben Carter's voice joined the conversation from his mining ship. And once they're back in normal space, they'll be vulnerable to kinetic weapons. Mining railguns can hit targets that military weapons can't touch. Admiral Morrison stood up, her mind racing with possibilities. We have 3 advantages the aliens don't know about. Dr. Cross can disrupt their phase shifting. Dr. Turner can disable their electronics. Captain Carter has weapons that might penetrate their defenses. But we'd have to coordinate perfectly, President Williams said. One mistake and they'll adapt their defenses. Commander Grace Miller had been listening carefully. There's a 4th advantage. They're broadcasting their analysis of our capabilities to demoralize us. But they're also revealing their own weaknesses. Every insult contains intelligence we can use. The plan began to take shape as each expert contributed their knowledge. The aliens' technological superiority was also their weakness. They had become dependent on complex systems that might be vulnerable to simple disruption. We need to appear even more helpless than they already think, Katie said. Make them so confident that they won't see the attack coming. Captain Amy Rodriguez joined the planning session from the USS Defender. My ship has been practicing evasive maneuvers. The aliens haven't bothered to learn our capabilities because they think we're harmless. Perfect, Katie said. We'll use old-fashioned tactics they've never encountered. Navigation by gravitational mechanics instead of hyperspace. Communication by radio instead of quantum channels. Weapons based on kinetic energy instead of exotic physics. Dr. Elena Cross was getting excited as the plan developed. Their automated defense systems are designed for energy weapons and advanced technology. They might not even recognize primitive, kinetic attacks as threats. General Stone looked skeptical. This is an enormous risk. If we fail, Earth will be defenseless against retaliation. We're already defenseless, Katie pointed out. The aliens have made it clear that they don't consider us worthy opponents. At least this way, we have a chance to surprise them. Commander Jake Phillips reported from Guardian Station. The alien probe ships are still conducting scans. They're completely ignoring our defensive preparations because they think our weapons are useless. Then let's make sure they keep thinking that, Katie said. We'll prepare our real weapons in secret while making obvious preparations with conventional systems. Captain Nicole Wright, commander of the submarine USS Leviathan, had been quietly listening to the discussion. Her submarine had been modified for space operations, using adapted sonar systems for navigation. Admiral, Nicole said, our sonar systems work differently than normal space sensors. The aliens' phase-shifting technology might be invisible to energy scanners, but sound waves operate on different principles. Katie smiled as another piece of the puzzle fell into place. Sonar can track them even when they're phase-shifted? Possibly, Nicole replied. It's worth testing. The meeting continued for hours as experts from across Earth's military and scientific communities contributed to the growing plan. The aliens' arrogance had given humanity an unexpected opportunity. The key is surprise, Katie concluded. We get one chance to prove that primitive doesn't mean helpless. After that, they'll adapt their defenses, and we'll never fool them again. President Williams looked around the room at Earth's finest minds, working together to solve an impossible problem. Humanity has always been at its best when facing overwhelming odds. Let's show these aliens what primitive ingenuity can accomplish. Captain Sam Brooks piloted the stealth ship USS Shadow through the asteroid belt, moving slowly and carefully to avoid detection. The Shadow was humanity's most advanced reconnaissance vessel, but compared to alien technology, it was barely more sophisticated than a rowboat. "Deployment complete," reported his sensor operator, Lieutenant Maria Santos. "The network is online and transmitting on frequencies the aliens won't monitor." Sam smiled grimly. While the Zephyrians continued their arrogant cataloging of human technology, Earth's forces were secretly installing sensor networks throughout the solar system using old-fashioned chemical rockets and radio communications. The aliens, expecting only primitive technology, weren't bothering to scan for human countermeasures. On Earth, Admiral Katie Morrison was preparing for the most important performance of her career. She stood in the White House Situation Room, practicing the speech that would convince the aliens of humanity's complete surrender. "Remember," President Williams said, "you have to make them believe we're genuinely defeated. No pride, no defiance, complete submission." Katie nodded, though the words tasted bitter in her mouth. "If this works, they'll invite us aboard their flagship for surrender negotiations. That's when Commander Hayes can plant the scanning devices." "Commander." Lisa Hayes checked her equipment one final time. Hidden inside what appeared to be a primitive recording device were sophisticated sensors designed by Dr. Elena Cross. The aliens would expect crude human technology and wouldn't bother scanning for hidden capabilities. "The devices are designed to look like basic audio recorders," Lisa explained, "but they're actually quantum field analyzers that will map the internal structure of their ships." 3 hours later, Admiral Morrison appeared on screens throughout the solar system, her image broadcast to both human and alien receivers. She looked tired and defeated, exactly as she intended. "War Commander Veltar," Katie began, her voice heavy with false despair, "the people of Earth have seen the demonstrations of your superior technology. We cannot hope to resist such overwhelming power." Aboard the Dominion's Edge, Veltar watched the human transmission with obvious satisfaction. Sub-Commander Creeth stood beside him, her silver features showing amusement at human weakness. "Humanity formally requests terms of surrender," Katie continued. "We ask for mercy and guidance from your advanced civilization. Perhaps you would honor us with a meeting to discuss our future under Zephyrian protection." Veltar's laughter echoed through the crystalline corridors of his flagship. "How pathetic. 3 days of technological demonstration and they collapse completely." "War Commander," Creeth said, "their military leader requests a face-to-face meeting aboard our vessel. Shall I refuse?" "No," Veltar decided. "It will be amusing to see these primitives grovel in person. Besides, it will provide excellent material for our cultural archives." While the surrender negotiations were being arranged, Captain Nicole Wright was conducting secret tests aboard the USS Leviathan. Her submarine, modified for space operations, was running active sonar sweeps in areas where alien ships had been phase-shifting. "Contact!" called out her sonar operator, Chief Petty Officer Robert Kim, "bearing 270, range 15,000 meters. The target is invisible to our optical sensors, but sonar has a solid lock." Nicole felt excitement building in her chest. "Can you track its movement?" "Yes, Captain. The phase-shifted vessels create acoustic disturbances that our sonar can follow. Their stealth technology doesn't account for sound waves. This was the breakthrough they needed. While the aliens could become invisible to energy-based sensors, they couldn't hide from humanity's primitive acoustic detection systems. Elsewhere in the solar system, Captain Ben Carter was conducting his own secret preparations. The Lucky Strike and several other converted mining vessels were positioning themselves using gravitational slingshot maneuvers that the aliens would consider laughably primitive. "The cargo hold modifications are complete," reported Chief Engineer Tom Bradley. "We can launch mining charges using the ore delivery system. The aliens won't recognize them as weapons." Ben nodded. Mining explosives were crude compared to military ordnance, but they were also completely unlike anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. Simple chemical charges that relied on basic physics rather than exotic technology. Dr. Elena Cross was making final adjustments to the electromagnetic pulse generators hidden throughout the fleet. Her deep space laboratory had become the coordination center for Project Thunderbolt, Dr. Alex Turner's modified EMP weapons. "The frequency generators are calibrated to disrupt Zephyrian quantum fields," Elena reported to Admiral Morrison. "But we'll only get one chance. Once they see the effect, they'll adapt their technology. One chance is all we need," Katie replied from the USS Constitution as it approached the alien flagship for the surrender meeting. The Dominion's Edge was a magnificent vessel, a crystalline structure that seemed to grow rather than being built. As the human shuttle approached, the alien ship's beauty was almost overwhelming. It looked like a living jewel floating in space. "Remember," Katie told her small delegation, "act impressed and intimidated. Let them think we're primitive tourists." Commander Lisa Hayes carried the disguised scanning equipment in a simple case that looked like it contained basic recording devices. Dr. Elena Cross had made sure the scanners would appear completely harmless to alien security systems. Veltar greeted the human delegation in a grand chamber filled with flowing energy patterns and impossible geometric shapes. The war commander's 4 arms gestured grandly as he welcomed his defeated enemies. "Admiral Morrison," Veltar said with condescending politeness, "welcome aboard a vessel of true civilization. I trust you are suitably impressed by our technology." Katie forced herself to look amazed and slightly frightened. "Your ship is beyond anything we could have imagined, War Commander. Humanity clearly has much to learn from the Zephyrian Confederation." "Indeed," Veltar agreed. "Your primitive vessels are adequate for basic transportation, but they lack the elegance of true engineering." While the aliens continued their boastful display, Lisa Hayes activated the hidden scanners. The devices began mapping the internal structure of the Dominion's Edge, analyzing the quantum field generators that kept the massive ship operational. "Your surrender is wise," Sub-Commander Creeth added. "Resistance would have been futile and costly. This way your species might survive long enough to evolve into something approaching civilization." The negotiations continued for 2 hours, with the aliens explaining how humanity would be cataloged and studied. Katie played her role perfectly, asking humble questions and expressing gratitude for Zephyrian wisdom. Meanwhile, throughout the solar system, human forces were completing their secret preparations. Captain Sam Brooks had finished deploying sensor networks that would coordinate the attack. Captain Nicole Wright had confirmed that sonar could track phase-shifted vessels. Captain Ben Carter had positioned mining ships loaded with simple but effective explosives. "The scanning is complete," Lisa Hayes whispered to Katie during a break in negotiations. "We have detailed maps of their ship's internal structure." Dr. Elena Cross received the data at her laboratory and immediately began analysis. The Zephyrian technology was incredibly sophisticated, but it had a critical weakness. Everything depended on quantum field generators located in specific areas of each ship. "If we can hit those generators with electromagnetic pulses," Elena reported to Admiral Morrison, "their entire ship will lose power. Weapons, shields, phase shifting, everything." The surrender meeting finally ended with Veltar graciously allowing humanity a few days to prepare for formal subjugation. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they didn't bother establishing defensive positions or maintaining military readiness. They think we're completely harmless, Katie reported to Earth Defense Command after returning to the Constitution. They're treating this like a vacation, not a military operation. General, Stone coordinated the final preparations from Earth. All forces report ready. The EMP weapons are charged and targeted. Mining vessels are in position. Submarine forces have acoustic locks on alien vessels. Dr. Alex Turner made final adjustments to the electromagnetic pulse warheads. The frequencies are set to Dr. Cross's specifications. When these detonate, the alien quantum fields should collapse completely. Commander Grace Miller reviewed the intelligence gathered during the surrender meeting. The aliens have revealed their entire command structure and ship layouts. They're so convinced of our primitiveness that they didn't bother with operational security. Captain Tony Martinez, commanding the carrier USS Enterprise, was launching what appeared to be evacuation shuttles filled with fleeing civilians. In reality, the shuttles contained kinetic projectile platforms that would overwhelm alien defenses through sheer numbers. The beauty of simple technology, Admiral Morrison reflected, is that complex systems don't know how to defend against it. As night fell over Earth, humanity prepared for the most important battle in its history. The aliens continued their casual cataloging of human technology, completely unaware that their victims were about to become predators. The trap was set. Now came the hardest part, springing it without giving the aliens time to adapt their defenses. General Peter Stone stood in the war room deep beneath the Pentagon, coordinating the largest military operation in human history. Maps of the solar system covered every wall, showing the positions of both human and alien forces. Red markers indicated Zephyrian vessels, while blue markers showed the secret positions of Earth's hidden fleet. Phase 1 is complete, General Stone reported to Admiral Morrison over a secure communication link. All forces are in position using gravitational mechanics and chemical propulsion. The aliens still think we're using primitive navigation. Katie smiled grimly from the bridge of the USS Constitution. Perfect. They're monitoring our obvious movements while completely missing our real preparations. Throughout the solar system, Earth's military was using techniques that had been abandoned centuries ago. Instead of hyperspace jumps, they relied on orbital mechanics and gravitational slingshots. Instead of quantum communications, they used old-fashioned radio signals that traveled at light speed. Captain Tony Martinez watched from the carrier USS Enterprise as the last of his disguised projectile platforms launched. To alien observers, they looked like evacuation shuttles carrying fleeing civilians. The Zephyrians had no reason to scan civilian vessels for hidden weapons. Cargo Bay 7 reports all packages deployed, his weapons officer announced. The platforms are in position and awaiting activation codes. Each evacuation shuttle contained a sophisticated kinetic weapon system designed by Dr. Alex Turner. The projectiles were simple metal slugs, but they would be accelerated to incredible speeds by electromagnetic launchers that the aliens' sensors couldn't detect. Commander Rachel Ford was positioning her submarine squadron using underwater warfare, tactics adapted for space. The USS Leviathan and 5 other converted submarines moved through the asteroid belt like wolves hunting in a pack. Sonar contact on target Alpha 7, reported Chief Robert Kim. The alien vessel is phase shifted, but we have a solid acoustic lock. Rachel nodded with satisfaction. While the Zephyrians could become invisible to energy sensors, they couldn't hide from sound waves. Their sophisticated stealth technology had never been designed to counter such primitive detection methods. "All submarines report ready," Rachel transmitted to Admiral Morrison. "We can track and target the alien fleet even when their phase shifted." Dr. Elena Cross was making final calibrations to the electromagnetic pulse network from her laboratory beyond Pluto. Her quantum field generators were hidden throughout the solar system, disguised as communication relays and navigation beacons. "The EMP network is online," Elena reported. "When activated, it will generate interference patterns across 17 different frequency ranges. The alien quantum fields won't be able to maintain coherence." Dr. Alex Turner had spent the last 3 days modifying human kinetic weapons to carry his special electromagnetic pulse warheads. Unlike conventional EMP devices, these were specifically designed to disrupt the exotic physics that powered Zephyrian technology. "The beauty of their advanced systems," Alex explained to his engineering team, "is that they're completely dependent on quantum field manipulation. Disrupt those fields, and their entire technological advantage disappears." Captain Ben Carter was coordinating with other mining ship captains using techniques developed during the asteroid mining conflicts. Their vessels carried simple explosive charges that looked like industrial equipment to alien scanners. "Mining charges are loaded and ready," reported Captain Steve Wilson from the converted freighter Heavy Lifter. "These aren't sophisticated weapons, but they don't need to be. Simple chemical explosives work the same way they did 1,000 years ago." The mining captains had spent decades learning how to maneuver massive cargo vessels in dangerous asteroid fields. Their skills with handling kinetic energy and chemical explosives were far beyond anything military academies taught. Commander Jake Phillips coordinated the orbital defense network from Guardian Station. His platforms carried conventional weapons that the aliens had already dismissed as harmless, but conventional weapons could be devastating against targets that couldn't phase shift. "All orbital platforms report ready," Jake transmitted. "The aliens have been scanning our defenses for days, but they're only looking for energy signatures. They won't detect kinetic weapon launches until it's too late." Captain Nicole Wright ran one final test of her sonar systems aboard the USS Leviathan. The submarine's acoustic sensors could track phase-shifted alien vessels with perfect accuracy, something that even the Zephyrians didn't realize was possible. "Contact bearing 090, called out her sonar operator. "Target is maintaining position near Mars' orbit. It thinks it's invisible." Nicole felt a cold satisfaction. The aliens' technological superiority had made them careless. They had forgotten that simple physics worked the same way throughout the universe. Admiral Morrison reviewed the final battle plan with her staff aboard the USS Constitution. Every human vessel had been positioned using navigation techniques that the aliens considered laughably primitive. "Timing is everything," Katie emphasized. "We have to hit them simultaneously across the entire system. If even one alien ship escapes and reports our capabilities, they'll adapt their defenses and we'll never surprise them again." Commander Lisa Hayes had finished analyzing the data collected during the surrender meeting aboard the Dominion's Edge. The Zephyrian flagship's internal structure was now completely mapped, showing the location of every critical system. "Their quantum field generators are clustered in the ship's core," Lisa reported. "If we can hit those generators with Dr. Turner's EMP weapons, the entire vessel will lose power." The plan required perfect coordination between forces scattered across billions of kilometers of space. Radio communications introduced light-speed delays that made real-time coordination impossible. Instead, Earth's forces would rely on predetermined timing and local initiative. Captain Sam Brooks had spent the week deploying a network of hidden sensors throughout the solar system. These devices would provide targeting data and coordinate, the attack using simple radio signals that the aliens couldn't jam. The sensor network is complete and operational, Sam reported from the USS Shadow. We can track every alien vessel in the system and coordinate our attack timing. President Williams addressed the military commanders from the White House Situation Room. The weight of humanity's survival rested on the success of this operation. The aliens think they're dealing with a primitive species that poses no threat, the president said. Our advantage lies in their underestimation of human ingenuity and determination. General Stone reviewed the tactical situation one final time. Earth's forces were outnumbered and outgunned by any conventional measure. But they had advantages that the aliens couldn't detect or understand. We have superior knowledge of our own solar system, General Stone noted. We can use gravitational fields, asteroid cover, and orbital mechanics in ways the aliens haven't considered. Dr. Elena Cross was monitoring quantum field fluctuations from alien vessels throughout the system. Their phase-shifting technology created detectable disturbances that her sensors could track and predict. The alien ships maintain their quantum fields at specific energy levels, Elena reported. When we activate the EMP network, those fields will collapse and the ships will be forced back into normal space. Captain Ryan Blake had positioned the USS Liberty near Jupiter, using the planet's massive gravitational field to mask his ship's presence. Chemical propulsion and radio navigation made his vessel nearly invisible to alien sensors. The aliens are so confident in their superiority that they're not maintaining military formation, Ryan reported. They're scattered across the system like tourists, not expecting any threat. Commander Grace Miller had analyzed every alien communication and movement pattern. Their behavioral predictability was another weakness that Earth could exploit. The Zephyrians follow rigid protocols and hierarchical command structures, Grace reported. Once we disrupt their leadership, their forces will lose coordination and effectiveness. Captain Amy Rodriguez had spent days practicing attack runs against simulated alien vessels. Her crew knew exactly how to target the weak points that Lisa Hayes had discovered during the reconnaissance mission. The USS Defender is ready, Amy reported. We know where to hit them and how to maximize damage with primitive kinetic weapons. As the final hour approached, Admiral Morrison addressed all human forces throughout the solar system. Her words reached ships hidden in asteroid fields, submarines lurking in the void, and platforms concealed in planetary orbits. Today, we proved that technological superiority doesn't guarantee victory, Katie said. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't surrender. We adapt, we overcome, and we survive. The countdown began. In minutes, Earth's forces would discover whether primitive ingenuity could defeat advanced arrogance. The aliens remained confident in their superiority, completely unaware that their victims had become hunters. Admiral Katie Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Constitution, watching the chronometer count down the final seconds. Throughout the solar system, Earth's hidden forces waited for the signal that would begin humanity's desperate gamble against impossible odds. All stations report ready, Commander Lisa Hayes announced. EMP network is charged and targeted. Kinetic weapons are loaded and aimed. Sensor network is active. Katie took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few minutes. If the plan failed, Earth would be defenseless against alien retaliation. If it succeeded, humanity might earn the respect of the galaxy through superior tactics and determination. Execute Operation Thunderstrike, Katie commanded. The attack began with Captain Ryan Blake's USS Liberty firing the opening shot from its position near Jupiter. The modified nuclear torpedo looked like a primitive projectile weapon to alien sensors, exactly as intended. War Commander Veltar's crew aboard the Dominion's Edge barely noticed the approaching warhead. "Primitive kinetic weapon, Sub-Commander," Kreith reported dismissively. "Estimated impact in 30 seconds. No defensive action required." Veltar watched the human torpedo approaching with amusement. "Let it hit our shields. Perhaps the impact will teach these primitives about the futility of resistance." The torpedo struck the alien flagship's energy barriers and detonated. But instead of a conventional nuclear explosion, Dr. Alex Turner's electromagnetic pulse warhead released a carefully tuned burst of interference across 17 different frequency ranges. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Dominion's Edge shuddered as its quantum field generators struggled to maintain coherence. Throughout the crystalline ship, energy patterns flickered and died as the EMP disrupted the exotic physics that powered Zephyrian technology. "What is happening?" Veltar demanded as his ship's systems began failing. "This is impossible." For the first time since first contact, Zephyrian vessels flickered into normal space, their phase-shifting capabilities disabled by electromagnetic interference. The aliens' technological advantage vanished in seconds as their ships became solid and vulnerable. Captain Amy Rodriguez didn't waste the opportunity. The USS Defender opened fire with its railgun batteries, launching solid projectiles at near light speed toward the confused alien vessels. The kinetic slugs punched through energy shields, designed only for other energy weapons. "Direct hit on target Alpha 3, Amy's weapons officer reported with excitement. "The alien cruiser is venting atmosphere and losing power." Throughout the solar system, similar scenes played out as Earth's forces revealed their true capabilities. The electromagnetic pulse network activated simultaneously, disrupting quantum fields and forcing alien ships back into normal space where primitive kinetic weapons could destroy them. Commander Jake Phillips coordinated the orbital defense platforms. From Guardian Station, his conventional weapons, dismissed by the aliens as harmless, proved devastatingly effective against solid targets that couldn't phase shift. "All platforms concentrate fire on the alien formation near Mars," Jake ordered. "They're sitting ducks, while their systems are down." Captain Ben Carter led the mining vessel assault with ruthless efficiency. The Lucky Strike and other converted freighters launched chemical explosive charges that overwhelmed alien point defense systems through sheer numbers. "Mining charges away," Ben announced as dozens of simple explosive devices streaked toward confused Zephyrian vessels. "Let's see how their sophisticated shields handle good old-fashioned chemical explosives." The aliens had never encountered such primitive tactics. Their automated defense systems, designed for energy weapons and guided missiles, didn't recognize simple chemical charges as threats. The explosives detonated against crystalline hulls, causing massive structural damage. Sub-Commander Kreith struggled to understand what was happening as her scanner readings made no sense. "War Commander, the human weapons are operating on principles our systems don't recognize. Our defenses cannot calculate appropriate responses." Captain Nicole Wright coordinated the submarine assault from the USS Leviathan. Her acoustic sensors tracked every alien vessel with perfect accuracy, providing targeting data that energy-based scanners couldn't match. "Target bearing 270, range 8,000 meters, Chief Robert Kim reported. "The alien heavy cruiser is trying to restore its phase-shifting capability." "Fire torpedo spread," Nicole ordered. "Don't let them escape back into phase shift." The submarine-launched torpedoes were ancient by galactic standards, but they worked perfectly against targets that couldn't become intangible. The alien cruiser took multiple hits and began breaking apart as its crystalline structure failed. Dr. Elena Cross monitored the electromagnetic pulse network from her distant laboratory, adjusting frequencies to maintain disruption of alien quantum fields. The Zephyrians were trying desperately to restore their technological advantages, but human interference prevented their systems from stabilizing. "The alien ships are attempting to adapt," Elena reported to Admiral Morrison. "But our frequency modulation is staying ahead of their countermeasures." Captain Tony Martinez revealed the true nature of his disguised evacuation shuttles. The innocent-looking civilian vessels suddenly deployed kinetic projectile platforms that opened fire on alien vessels throughout the system. "Surprise!" Tony muttered with satisfaction as his hidden weapons launched swarms of high-velocity projectiles. Not so harmless after all. The aliens were completely unprepared for humanity's coordinated assault. Their technological superiority had made them overconfident and careless. Now they faced opponents who fought with primitive weapons that their advanced defenses couldn't counter. War Commander Veltar watched in horror as his invincible fleet was systematically destroyed by enemies he had dismissed as harmless primitives. The Dominion's edge was losing power as electromagnetic interference disrupted its quantum core. "How is this possible?" Veltar demanded. "Their weapons are thousands of years obsolete." "That appears to be their advantage," Kreith replied grimly as she tried to restore ship systems. "Our defenses are designed for civilized warfare, not primitive kinetic attacks." Captain Sam Brooks coordinated the attack from the USS Shadow, using his sensor network to provide real-time targeting data to human forces throughout the system. The aliens' communications were jammed by electromagnetic interference, leaving them unable to coordinate their response. "Target priority list updated," Sam transmitted to all human vessels. "Focus fire on alien command ships while their systems are down." Admiral Morrison watched the battle unfold with amazement and pride. Human ingenuity was proving superior to alien arrogance. Earth's forces, written off as primitively harmless, were systematically dismantling a technologically advanced fleet. "All ships, maintain pressure," Katie ordered. "Don't give them time to adapt their defenses." The USS Constitution joined the attack, firing kinetic projectiles at the struggling Dominion's edge. The alien flagship's beautiful crystalline structure cracked and shattered under impacts from simple metal slugs moving at relativistic speeds. "Commander." Grace Miller monitored alien communications from her intelligence post, translating their growing panic and confusion. "The Zephyrians were finally realizing that their technological superiority meant nothing against opponents who refused to fight by conventional rules. They're calling for reinforcements," Grace reported. "But their quantum communications are disrupted. Help won't arrive in time." Dr. Alex Turner's electromagnetic pulse weapons continued disrupting alien technology throughout the system. The Zephyrians couldn't restore their phase-shifting capabilities or energy shields while human interference scrambled their quantum fields. "The EMP network is holding," Alex reported with satisfaction. "Their technology is completely neutralized as long as we maintain electromagnetic interference." Captain Ryan Blake pressed his attack against a damaged alien destroyer, using the USS Liberty's superior maneuverability to stay ahead of the alien ship's attempts to target him. Without their advanced systems, the Zephyrians were reduced to firing crude energy beams that human ships could easily avoid. "Target their quantum field generators," Ryan ordered his weapons officer. Lisa Hayes mapped their weak points perfectly. The battle was turning into a rout as alien vessel after alien vessel succumbed to humanity's primitive but effective weapons. The Zephyrians' overconfidence had become their doom, leaving them helpless against enemies they had underestimated. War Commander Veltar realized with growing horror that his mighty fleet was being destroyed by primitives using weapons his civilization had abandoned millennia ago. The humiliation was complete as the hunters became the hunted. The battle raged across the solar system as the Zephyrian fleet struggled to adapt to humanity's unexpected tactics. War Commander Veltar had lost half his vessels in the first wave of attacks, and his remaining ships were desperately trying to restore their technological advantages. "Sub-Commander Kreeth, report on shield modifications," Veltar demanded, as another kinetic projectile slammed into the Dominion's edge. Kreeth worked frantically at her control station, her silver features showing strain and confusion. "I am attempting to recalibrate our energy barriers to deflect solid projectiles, but the process requires time we do not have." Dr. Elena Cross had anticipated this exact response. From her laboratory beyond Pluto, she monitored the alien attempts to adapt their defenses and immediately began countermeasures. "They're trying to modify their shield frequencies," Elena reported to Admiral Morrison. "Initiating electromagnetic pulse variation sequence." Elena's fingers danced across her control panel, constantly changing the interference patterns that disrupted alien quantum fields. Every time the Zephyrians began to stabilize their systems, new electromagnetic bursts scrambled their technology. Again. Captain Ben Carter pressed his advantage, leading the mining vessel assault against a group of alien frigates near the asteroid belt. His crews had spent decades learning to maneuver massive cargo ships in dangerous environments, skills that served them well in space combat. "Target the crystalline junction points," Ben ordered his weapons officer. "Those alien ships are beautiful, but beauty doesn't mean strength." The heavy lifter and other converted mining vessels launched spreads of chemical explosive charges. The simple devices were crude compared to military ordnance, but they worked perfectly against alien technology that had no defense against such primitive attacks. Sub-Commander Kreeth watched in frustration as human explosives damaged her ship's elegant structure. "War Commander, their chemical weapons operate on principles our point defense systems cannot counter. We have no protocols for defending against such primitive devices." Commander Jake Phillips coordinated the orbital defense platforms with ruthless efficiency. Guardian Station and its sister installations had been written off by the aliens as harmless, but their kinetic weapons were proving devastatingly effective. "Concentrate fire on the alien heavy cruiser," Jake ordered. "Its shields are down and it can't phase shift while the EMP network is active." The orbital platforms launched a coordinated barrage of railgun projectiles that struck the alien vessel from multiple angles. Without energy shields or phase-shifting capability, the crystalline ship crumpled under impacts from simple metal slugs. Captain Nicole Wright used her submarine's acoustic sensors to track alien vessels that were trying to hide in the shadow of Jupiter's moons. The Zephyrians could still achieve partial invisibility, but they couldn't hide from sonar sweeps. "Contact bearing 315, Chief Robert Kim reported. "Alien destroyer attempting to ambush the Constitution from behind." "Jupiter!" "Not on my watch," Nicole muttered, ordering her torpedo tubes loaded. "Fire spread pattern, Charlie. Let's teach them that primitive doesn't mean stupid." The USS Leviathan's torpedoes found their target despite the alien vessel's attempts at stealth. The destroyer exploded in a brilliant flash as its quantum core destabilized, sending crystalline debris spinning through space. Admiral Morrison watched the battle from the Constitution's bridge with growing confidence. Earth's forces were not only holding their own against superior technology, they were winning through superior tactics and determination. "Status report from all task forces," Katie ordered. Reports flooded in from across the solar system. "Captain, Tony Martinez had eliminated 3 alien vessels using his disguised projectile platforms. Commander Rachel Ford's submarine squadron had destroyed 2 more using acoustic tracking. Captain Amy Rodriguez was pursuing a damaged alien cruiser that was trying to escape toward the outer planets." Dr. Alex Turner monitored the electromagnetic pulse network from his command post on Earth. The Zephyrians were becoming increasingly desperate as their technological advantages remain neutralized. "The aliens are attempting to overload their quantum field generators," Alex reported. "They're trying to break through our electromagnetic interference through brute force." "Can they succeed?" Admiral Morrison asked. "Possibly," Alex admitted. "But overloading their systems will make their ships unstable. It's a dangerous gamble." War Commander Veltar made exactly that desperate decision aboard the crippled Dominion's Edge. His mighty fleet was being humiliated by primitives, and he was willing to risk everything to restore Zephyrian superiority. "Override all safety protocols," Veltar commanded. "Channel maximum power to the quantum field generators. We must break free of their electromagnetic interference." Kreith looked, horrified. "War Commander, that could destabilize our entire ship. The quantum core might collapse." "Better destruction than defeat by primitives," Veltar snarled. The alien flagship began to glow as its quantum generators operated beyond safe parameters. For a moment, it seemed like the strategy might work as the Dominion's Edge briefly achieved. Partial phase-shifting capability. Captain Sam Brooks detected the energy spike from his position aboard the USS Shadow. "Admiral, the alien flagship is overloading its systems. It's trying to break through our jamming." "All ships, concentrate fire on the Dominion's Edge," Katie ordered. "Don't let them restore their capabilities." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Human vessels throughout the system turned their weapons toward the alien flagship, launching everything from railgun projectiles to mining charges to nuclear torpedoes. Captain Ryan Blake fired a spread of modified warheads from the USS Liberty. "Special delivery from Earth," he muttered as the torpedoes streaked toward their target. The USS Defender added its firepower to the barrage, with Captain Amy Rodriguez personally aiming the final shot. "This is for calling us primitives," she said as her railgun fired. The concentrated human attack struck the Dominion's Edge just as its overloaded quantum generators reached critical instability. The combination of external impacts and internal system failure triggered a catastrophic cascade failure. Sub-Commander Kreith had just enough time to realize the magnitude of their defeat before the ship's quantum core imploded. The humans, they were never primitive. They were. The Dominion's Edge collapsed into itself as its quantum field generators failed catastrophically. The beautiful crystalline vessel that had seemed invincible just hours before vanished in a brief flash of exotic energy. War Commander Veltar's final transmission echoed across the battlefield. How could primitives defeat the glory of Zephyrian civilization? Commander Grace Miller had been monitoring alien communications throughout the battle. She reported to Admiral Morrison with barely concealed satisfaction. "The alien command structure has collapsed. The remaining ships are operating independently, without coordination." Dr. Elena Cross detected the quantum field disruptions caused by the flagship's destruction and immediately adjusted her electromagnetic interference patterns to take advantage of the chaos. "The destruction of their command ship has destabilized quantum fields throughout the alien fleet," Elena reported. Their remaining vessels are becoming increasingly vulnerable. Captain Ben Carter led the final assault against the scattered alien survivors. His mining vessels, supported by military ships and orbital platforms, systematically hunted down the remaining Zephyrian forces. "No mercy," Ben transmitted to his fellow captains. "They called us primitives. Time to show them what primitives can do when they're angry." The battle was effectively over. The mighty Zephyrian fleet that had arrived to catalog humanity's primitive technology lay in ruins throughout the solar system. Broken crystalline hulls drifted in space, while a few surviving alien vessels fled toward the outer planets. Captain Nicole Wright tracked the retreating aliens with her sonar systems. "Should we pursue them, Admiral?" Katie Morrison considered the question carefully. The surviving aliens would carry word of humanity's capabilities to the rest of the galaxy. That knowledge might bring more enemies, but it would also ensure that no one would underestimate Earth again. "Let them go," Katie decided. "They have a message to deliver." The solar system fell silent except for the crackling of debris fields and the distant hum of human ships regrouping after their impossible victory. Admiral Katie Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Constitution, looking out at the wreckage of what had been the mighty Zephyrian fleet just hours before. "Final casualty report," Katie requested from Commander Lisa Hayes. Lisa consulted her displays with amazement still evident in her voice. "Human losses: 2 destroyed vessels, 15 damaged, total casualties under 300. Alien losses: 12 vessels destroyed, 3 captured, 2 escaped toward the outer planets." The numbers seemed impossible. Earth's primitive fleet had not only defeated technologically superior aliens, but had done so with minimal losses. The victory would go down in history as one of the greatest military achievements of all time. Captain Ryan Blake's voice came through the communication system from the USS Liberty. "Admiral, we're picking up a transmission from one of the escaping alien vessels. They're requesting permission to transmit a message." Katie felt a moment of satisfaction. The survivors wanted to talk. "Put them through, Captain." The main screen flickered to life, showing Subcommander Creeth broadcasting from what appeared to be an escape pod. Her silver features showed a mixture of shock, respect, and newfound understanding. "Admiral Morrison," Creeth began, her voice lacking the condescending tone that had characterized all previous alien communications. "I am Subcommander Creeth of the Zephyrian Confederation. I speak for the survivors of War Commander Veltar's fleet." "I'm listening," Katie replied simply. Creeth paused, choosing her words carefully. "We came to your system believing we understood the nature of your species. We were wrong, catastrophically wrong." Dr. Elena Cross monitored the conversation from her laboratory, analyzing the quantum signatures of the alien transmission. Even in defeat, Zephyrian technology remained impressive, but it no longer seemed invincible. "Your species fights with weapons and tactics that our civilization abandoned millennia ago," Creeth continued. "We thought this made you primitive. Instead, it made you unpredictable, dangerous in ways we never considered." Captain Ben Carter listened from the Lucky Strike, surrounded by his crew of former asteroid miners who had just helped defeat an interstellar empire. "Damn right we're dangerous," he muttered with pride. "We underestimated your adaptability," Creeth admitted. "While we perfected energy-based warfare, you maintained knowledge of kinetic weapons. While we relied on quantum communications, you kept simpler systems that we could not disrupt. While we pursued technological elegance, you embraced practical effectiveness." Admiral Morrison felt a deep satisfaction as the alien officer acknowledged what humans had always known. Survival required using every available tool, not just the most sophisticated ones. Your electromagnetic pulse weapons disrupted technology we thought was invulnerable, Kreeth continued. Your kinetic projectiles penetrated defenses designed only for energy attacks. Your acoustic sensors tracked ships that believed themselves invisible. You turned our technological superiority into weakness. Commander Grace Miller had been analyzing the battle from an intelligence perspective. She transmitted her assessment to Admiral Morrison. The aliens' overspecialization made them vulnerable to generalist tactics. They forgot that warfare is about achieving objectives, not demonstrating technological sophistication. Sub-Commander Kreeth seemed to hear Grace's analysis across the void. Yes, we became prisoners of our own advancement. We forgot the fundamental principle that victory belongs to those who adapt, not those who possess the most elegant weapons. President Williams watched the conversation from the White House, surrounded by military and civilian leaders who still could barely believe what had happened. General Peter Stone shook his head in amazement. "They're actually learning from us," General Stone observed. "The most advanced civilization in the galaxy is taking lessons from primitive humans." Kreeth's transmission continued with something approaching respect. "I will carry word of your capabilities throughout the galaxy. The Zephyrian Confederation and other civilizations will know that Earth's military represents a new type of threat." "What kind of threat?" Katie asked. "The threat of the unconventional," Kreeth replied. "Most galactic civilizations fight using similar principles because we all developed along similar technological paths. You represent something different. Something that cannot be easily predicted or countered." Dr. Alex Turner was already studying captured alien technology from his laboratory on Earth. The quantum field generators and phase-shifting systems that had seemed impossible were yielding their secrets to human analysis. "Admiral," Alex reported, "the alien technology operates on principles we can understand and potentially replicate. Their mistake was assuming their methods were the only viable approach to advanced engineering." Captain Nicole Wright had been examining the wreckage of alien vessels using her submarine salvage equipment. "We're recovering intact systems and databases. This technology could advance human civilization by centuries." Katie felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Humanity had won this battle, but the war for survival in a dangerous galaxy was just beginning. "Sub-Commander Kreeth," Katie addressed the alien officer, "what can we expect from other galactic civilizations when they learn about this battle?" Kreeth considered the question carefully. "Some will fear you and attempt preemptive attacks. Others will seek alliance with a species that can defeat superior technology through ingenuity. Many will simply avoid your territory until they better understand your capabilities." "And what do you recommend?" Katie asked. "Prepare for all possibilities," Kreeth replied. "Your victory today proves that technological superiority does not guarantee success. But it also marks humanity as a significant player in galactic politics. That brings both opportunities and dangers." Captain Amy Rodriguez had been listening to the conversation while coordinating salvage operations. "Admiral, we should consider establishing defensive positions throughout the solar system. This won't be the last alien fleet to visit Earth." Katie nodded, already thinking about the massive changes that would reshape human civilization. The victory had bought Earth time and respect, but it had also announced humanity's presence to a galaxy full of potential enemies and allies. Dr. Elena Cross transmitted her analysis from the Outer System Laboratory. The battle demonstrated that human technological diversity is our greatest strength. While aliens specialize in specific approaches, we maintain knowledge across multiple technological paradigms. The Zephyrian Confederation will not forget this lesson, Kreeth concluded her transmission. Neither will other civilizations. Earth has announced itself as a force that cannot be easily dismissed or defeated. The alien escape pod's signal faded as it fled toward hyperspace, carrying word of humanity's unexpected capabilities to the stars. Katie knew that this victory was just the beginning of humanity's journey into galactic civilization. Commander Lisa Hayes approached with a preliminary analysis of captured alien technology. Admiral, the engineering principles behind their quantum systems could revolutionize human industry and defense. We could develop hybrid technologies that combine alien sophistication with human adaptability. Katie smiled, thinking about the future that lay ahead. Humanity had proven that primitive didn't mean helpless, that old solutions could defeat new problems, and that survival often depended more on creativity than technology. Begin full analysis of all captured systems, Katie ordered. And start planning defensive improvements for the entire solar system. The galaxy knows about us now, and we need to be ready for whatever comes next. As Earth's forces began the long process of cleanup and analysis, one truth echoed across the solar system. Humanity had faced its first test among the stars and emerged victorious through courage, ingenuity, and the willingness to fight with whatever tools were available. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human expansion had begun.